Here's what comes with the Extreme Hanky. 2 18-inch silks, 2 super strong invisible thread spools, 2 USB cables, 1 extra motor pod, your Extreme Hanky gimmick, your Extreme Hanky remote, 4 extra spools, some white tack, it's also known as poster putty, and your certificate for your Extreme Hanky warranty. Let's talk about charging and battery life and all that kind of stuff. Each unit has its own built-in battery. Same with the remote. There's a spot where you plug in your mini USB. Be careful when you do that, just be real gentle. You could plug it in and you would hook it to this. Now I use this because these are very, very popular. A fully discharged battery will charge in 1 hour and 18 minutes using this particular one. Now they have ones that are bigger and give you more power and charge the battery faster, and those will work. And here's another little tip. This was really cheap. I got this for $9. This is a power block for your phone. So if your phone needed some more juice, you'd use this. Well, you can also use this to charge the unit. And you can see here that the red light is on. That means it's charging. And what you do is you wait until it turns green, and then it's not charging anymore. I mean, it's done charging. Now, every now and then it's gonna flip back to red. But if you see green at all, unplug it. And when you unplug it, you'll see a green light blinking. Sometimes when you unplug it, it'll take a couple seconds. There might be 2 lights that turn on, and then it will go to this mode right here, which is blinking, ready to play back a program, or I can work it live. Now, this is how you turn the remote off. You have to push and hold this button for like 10 seconds, and then you wait until you see the red light, and then now it's completely off because there's no lights. To turn it on, you just simply press it 1 time, and then you'll see the green light blinking. Yes, the green light is blinking, so that's on. So, okay, and for the cork, charging is the same. It's right here. Okay, let me get that plugged in. There it goes. Okay, now it's going. It went to red, and now it's charging, and it'll go to green. When it's done charging, pop it off. Now it went right to green because the remote is still on. Now watch what happens when I turn, watch these lights, and if I turn the remote off, and I'll know it's going off because these lights will light up. See how those lights went on? What that says is the remote is completely off now. Now you can't see that inside the cork, but what will happen in 2 minutes, as long as you don't touch this button, this will turn off all by itself, like completely off. So it's always in a ready state. We'll talk about that part later. And that's how you charge your Extreme Hanky. Now I'm going to show you how to thread your Extreme Hanky gimmick. A couple things to make things easy for you. I usually carry some readers in my case. That does help a lot if you have bad eyes. Some scissors, an X-Acto knife. You don't actually need the X-Acto knife. I use the X-Acto knife for this, and this is a pro tip. Remember this. Don't try to do this backstage. Let's say you want to rethread for some reason and you're backstage. It's dark. It's really hard to do this. I use an X-Acto knife. There's a slice on the bottom part where the string actually goes, and if I cut right here, I can get it to unravel. What I do is when I rethread, I always put the thread around the putty ball, so I'm always ready to go. All I gotta do is grab it if I have to thread it. And another tip is, since you do get extra spools, I do this. I wind it, and I only put a little bit of thread on there. You don't want to overfill your spools with thread. So now all I have to do is take this and drop it down inside the cork. I'm going to show you how to thread that now. Okay, first thing we do is we have to open the cork, and you do that by pushing here. You push here, and be kind of gentle with this. And as you see, it actually turned on because it has that auto on feature, and it will turn off in 2 minutes if the remote is not on. But right now we actually need it to be on. There's a button right here. And that button, if you push that button, you'll feel a vibration, which is the motor actually turning. This motor pod is removable, so if you have one already threaded and ready to go, you just unplug it and plug this back in, and make sure that the red wires line up. Because if you push this and it's not working, it means that you put that in backwards. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use this. The motor pod has magnets on it, and that's to help hold it while you're trying to thread it. So right now this is heavy enough for that. So I'm going to remove this, but actually I'm not going to do it with this first. First I'm going to show you with this piece of yo-yo string how I would start a thread. Okay, so just so you can see, I use a slip knot, which is tied like this. If you don't know how to do a slip knot, check it out on YouTube. That's what I do. And then I take that slip knot and I pull it. So it's like that. And then if you got your readers on or you got really good eyes, you want to snip it as close as you can to that slip knot so that it stays on there, but there's not a whole lot of extra. So I'm going to pop this off of here. Got that on there pretty good. All right. So now this is what we're going to do. Your spools easily come out. You just push them down. Don't push too hard, but you push there, and then you know it's in there, and then you know it's on because I'm pushing this button and I'm feeling that. So I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to do the same process, which is going to be hard for you to see. And I've done this so many times that I can feel that I'm making a slip knot. Okay, sometimes I'll look up. Let's see if I can get the slip knot in there. Let me. Okay, that's a pretty big one. I'm going to put it on there. I'm going to pull it until it doesn't pull anymore. I'm going to put the readers on so I can see where that end is. Okay. It's right there. Okay, so now I'm going to wind it. And I do that, and I keep tension up here. So I have the string in between my fingers here. Okay, it just came off. Let me try it again. Those readers on again. So what I did there is it came off because I pulled too hard. Snip it right there at the end and try to get any excess string out of the way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep pressure as I turn the motor on. Okay, I'm going to start threading it. And I actually just have this other end of the spool on the floor. As you can see, it's not winding really good, and I'm going to show you what to do about that. Okay, that's about enough. That's probably way too much thread. So then I break the end, and to thread it through the cork, it's a good idea to make your putty ball very, very small to start with. Okay, here we go. And I'll show you why. I make it really, really small because we have to thread it through here. It comes down to the bottom of these ceramic eyelets to make it really smooth. Okay, so now what I do is this. I'm gonna get rid of this part. I'm gonna take, let's see, I got some excess string. I need to, when you roll up your end, you wanna make sure you don't have any excess string. So I just keep doing this until there's just one string that I can see coming out of that. All right. So now what I do is I roll it up really, really small like this, because you have to put it through here and you want to drop it through the end. Okay, I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. Put it right through there. Comes out the bottom. Now we got to be careful that we don't have it tangled around here or anywhere else. Okay. Now if I pull, as you can see, it's kind of spinning as I pull. Now I'm trying to get it in because this is the string guide. That guides the string like this. You're pulling. Okay, now it's threaded really good because I'm pulling right now and the motor pod's in place. If I keep some tension while pushing the button here, I can wind in some string. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my putty ball bigger. The putty ball does a couple things. It makes it really easy to thread, and also it helps weight the silk down so that it hits the ground or hits the bottom. So at this point, if I push the button, boom. Okay, and just for fun, I'm going to unthread it. Pop this spool off and show you how quickly it is if you have these ready to go. Pop this on. Make this small again. Should be small enough. Goes down all the way through. And keep pulling as you put it in. As you can see, that was pretty quick. I threaded that thing really, really fast. Now we're going to put it back together. Now you want to be very careful with this because you got to put some pressure on the electronics and this motor here. So you put this unit in and you want to make sure that your putty ball, like, it's sticking on the bottom like this. Now generally, there it goes. So I'm pushing with my thumbs here, and sometimes I go like this, and it'll kind of snap into place. And then you put your cork on, and this will turn itself off in 2 minutes, as long as this is not on. That is how.
3, 2, 1.
All right, now we're going to go through programming and a couple other tips and tricks and learn a little more about how this stuff works. Okay, I'm just going to, now this is kind of important. If you're making a program, you're going to want to use the exact same weight putty ball, because if you get one that's half the size, it's not going to work perfect. So I always make sure I use the same putty ball all the time. For now, I'm just going to thread it like this. I'm going to put it in the middle. I'm going to tie the classic hanky knot. Now it's in there. And since the cork is in an always ready state, meaning that if I just push it once, I can check to see if my string is tangled or not. Okay, I'm going to put this in the bottle. Now I go over this in other parts of this video on the tips and tricks. And also when you get to the tips and tricks, now that video was shot before the new version of the Extreme Hanky, so you might hear me saying some stuff that's not necessary with the new version. So what I do is I stuff it in not side up, so the string's going all the way down to here. It drops. Now the weight of the ball, the actual, so what I'm doing is I'm going like this. The putty ball is what makes it drop to the bottom. Now sometimes that putty ball can be big and you can hear some noise as it's animated. I'm just going to animate it because you can animate it just by doing this. So I'm animating it just like this. What's really cool about this is if for some reason you lost communication with your remote, you can still go over and animate it. And as you can see, I'm barely moving my finger to get that animation. And another good, cool thing, like we'll go over that in a second. But when you pull it out like this, if you was to put it on just like this, you would actually be trapping thread. Nothing's happened. It's trapped. You have to push and go in like this. Now sometimes a program be playing back, and we'll show you what happens when it happens, because now we're going to go into the program process. Now the remote is off, and remember, if the remote is off and you put this in your case, this will turn completely off in 2 minutes. You don't have to worry about opening it to turn it on or off. You only open it to charge it or to thread it. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn on the remote. I know the remote's on because there's a green light blinking. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to hold, let's talk about the remote and its features first. This is the speed wheel. If you hold it in your hand just like this and you push it all the way up and you push the motor button, this is the motor button, is the red one. That animates the motor and works it live. Right now, if I was to push it, you're gonna see that the hanky's gonna go all the way up, because right now it's totally, the speed's as far as it'll go. So if I turn this down like this, I hold this button, nothing happens because the speed is not turned up. It's all the way off. So if I slowly turn this up, you'll see what happens to the hanky. And I'm just holding down here. So if I go to about halfway, okay, I go all the way to the top, I can turn about halfway, and then I can just go like this. And that's the kind of animation you want. Let me see if I get it right. Boom, 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 like that. Somewhere in there. Maybe turn it down just a little bit. Right about there is what I like to see. And I'm just doing it just like this. Okay, now let's make a program. To start making a program, you push and you hold the go button. Push and hold until you see a red light. I'm going to try to be able to see this too. Okay. Now you see the red light turned on. You're going to wait a second because it's solid, because it's getting ready for the record process, and it's going to start blinking in a second. Okay, there you go. See that it's blinking? Sometimes it'll stay on for a second. Don't worry about that, it'll start. Okay, so if I push go, the red light, as soon as I press go, that's when the programming time starts. So if you're going to do this to a song, you're going to want to start programming at a certain point in the song and make sure you hit the go button if you don't have an assistant controlling this for you. So here we go. To make a program, we make sure that the red light is blinking. We push go. Red light stays on. I'm going to try to do that. Here it goes. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to make a program. Turn it up. All right, now I'm going to show you how to program it. First thing you're looking for is that the remote is on. You know it's on because there's a green blinking light. Now we also have to make sure that the cork is on. If this was on and you push this button like this and nothing happened, you just have to push this one time to make sure the cork's on. Now, we're going to go over some of the buttons on the remote. This is the motor button. This motor button, the speed goes to wherever this wheel is. If I turn this all the way up, and you really do not want to do that, and I talk about that later. So if I turn this all the way down and I push it, nothing happens. I got to turn it up just a little bit, and I'm pushing and holding right there. So you can push and hold, and it remembers all that stuff. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start the programming process. And how you do that, this is the go button. It plays back. This is how you get into programming, how you play back a program, and how you pause and resume a program, all from this one button. So basically you got to hold this button down for about 13 seconds. You're waiting for the green light to blink. So here it goes. Not green light, you want a red light to start blinking, and then you let go as soon as you see that. So I'm holding it down gently, don't hold down super hard. Trying to see it too. Okay. Now it's blinking red. So at this point, if I was to, I'm going to try to hold this. I'll do it towards here so we can see this. I'm going to turn it down. If I push like this, it's not recording, but it's still workable in record mode. Okay? That way you can set your string and you're all ready to record. When you're ready to record, you push the go button. As soon as you push the go button is when the program starts. Now, if you're doing this to music and you are going to be the person controlling your show by using a program, you're going to want to have a certain part of the music where you start your recording and have the music playing while you're making your recording. That way it looks like the hanky's dancing to the beat of the music and things of that nature. So, push the button. The red light stays solid. Now, during this time, whatever I do for like up to 15 minutes, it remembers that. Now, if I get the speed just right about there is what I like. Let me see. Turn it down a little bit. Little light taps. And then meanwhile, you could be the wheel up or down, things of that nature. Okay, when I'm done programming, I push this button. As you can see, the red light turned on. Sometimes it'll just go right to green, but the red light is blinking, so I have to turn this off to save my program. And I do that by pushing and holding this for about 10 seconds until the red light turns solid. Now it's off. If I want to play back my program, I just touch it one time, push the button, and now it's going to play that back. Now the program was kind of weird that we made, but this could be in your pocket or something of that nature. Now during the playback of a program, this is kind of a cool feature. You can lift this up like this. The program is still playing. It wasn't programmed for that, but during the playback, you can push the cork to just make the motor go on, even though it's playing back a program. So you can go like this, and it still play back the program. Now, when it's done playing back the program, you're going to see it blinking green. As you can see right there, there's also a red light on. Don't worry about that. It's just talking to itself, making sure the communication's great. So you push that button again, and you start to play back the program. Now, if I push the button, you'll see 2 lights blinking. That is the program paused. In the first version of Extreme Hanky, during pause, you could not animate the motor, but now you can. So if there, for some reason, you need to take over live control, or your assistant needs to take over live control, that person pushes it to pause it. Now to resume play, even though you've done all this, you just push the go button, and it plays back the program. All right, still playing back. Should be about done. Okay. It's done when you see it blinking green. Don't worry about if you ever see another light during this situation. It's ready to go, as long as you see that green light blinking. And you just turn it off. Wait till you see that red light, and then boom, you're off. And then after that, once this is off, this turns off in 2 minutes. Now when this is on and this is on, you can turn this on 2 hours before your show. Touch that, touch this, turn it on 2 hours before your show. Now, with the way the battery works now, you don't really need to do that anymore. You can have this off and this off. Maybe have this set in your case, and maybe it's in this position like this. So after 2 minutes, this is going to turn off when this is off. So you have this set up and off, this is off. You're ready for your performance. Your assistant or yourself turns the remote on by just tapping the button. And to turn the cork on, just push the button one time and you're ready to go. So you don't really need to leave it in a standby state. But there's a really cool feature here. let's say you turn it on 2 hours before your show. It's on. You can do that and have that standby time, 2 hour standby time, up to 8 times before you have to recharge the units. So that's a long standby time, but you don't really need the standby time anymore because of the way the system works. So when these are on in standby mode, just waiting for the performance, let's just say show's running late and you want to restart that program or that timer, that 2 hour timer of this shutting itself completely off. You just move a wheel, touch a button, and the 2 hours starts over. So this has been sitting here for an hour and you need another 2 hours, you just do this. It starts the 2 hour timer all over again. And that's how you program your Extreme